Did you know a color could represent an entire country? I want you to think pink. Welcome back to A Stylist Board. I'm Alexandra, and this season we're getting into some of the incredibly inspiring styles and design traditions of countries and cultures all over the world. And today, I'm as excited as ever to be focusing on Mexico. When Barbie came out last year, the color pink totally infused our lives with a blast of the iconic color. Barbie pink was simply electric. And before that, millennial pink was the color that made headlines. Remember that? TBH, I'm still living in a millennial pink world. But there's one pink that just isn't a trend, a home decor phenomenon, or even a simple color really. It's the world's pinkest pink. It's called Rosa Mexicano, and in Mexico, it's a national treasure. In interior design, pink translates as a bold complement to any space. We've moved past the whole pink is for girls, blue is for boys thing. Pink is for everyone, and honestly, it works in any space. But get this, in Mexico, pink is a design North Star. It's fundamental, it's foundational, it's nature. We'll get to the nature stuff a little later. Pink spans decorative styles all across the spectrum of ultra-modern, eclectic, and minimalist spaces, to the more traditional and rustic homes all over the country. It's the base color of so many of the beautiful textiles, pottery, and paper crafts that adorn these spaces, and especially these show-stoppingly vivid exteriors. Like, can we all take a second and take in how gorgeous this pink is? I humbly present to you Rosa Mexicano. It's a shade so intense, it's actually kind of hard to perceive it on screen. I can only describe it as some sort of magical blend of fuchsia and magenta. If you've ever come across a massive bougainvillea vine or gazed into the innermost petals of a pink dahlia, that's about it. Friends, this pink is potent. And it's in more than just home decor. Across Mexico, Rosa Mexicano has taken on a national identity, spanning fashion and art, popular architecture, cultural festivities, and even government documents and quite a few taxis. It's a color that represents the living spirit of a nation that, if you didn't know, has 68 indigenous languages, 32 states, 35 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, 59 corn varieties, and more pyramids than Egypt. Oh, and yes, the pinkest pink in the world. So where did Rosa Mexicano come from originally? How did it become the color of a country as large and as diverse as Mexico? And perhaps, how can we look to Mexico to alter perceptions of pink altogether? First, we rewind the clock way back to pre-Columbian times. Now, rather than honing in on a specific inventor or artist, we're actually going to zero in on another natural being altogether, the cochineal. Tiny insects living their best lives on cacti in Mexico. These little critters native to Mexico and South America were crushed to create a deep red dye that rivaled gold and silver in value. The Aztecs and Mayans used it for dyeing royal garments and as a pigment for some rituals. Fun fact, it actually took about 70,000 bugs to produce 1 pound of dye. Talk about a labor-intensive process. The female cochineal produced a special acid as a defense against predators. And when the insects were crushed, it was this acid that created an intense, vibrant red color. The Mayans discovered this incredible property and developed sophisticated techniques to harvest and process the insects. They would carefully brush the bugs off the cacti, dry them in the sun, and then grind them into a fine powder which would be mixed with various substances to create different shades. Fast forward to the colonial era, and this dye became Mexico's second most valuable export after silver. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, wasn't that red? How do we get to pink? Well, the vibrant pink we know today evolved from this red, becoming lighter and brighter over time as artisans discovered that by altering the pH of the dye bath or mixing the cochineal with different mordants, they could create a range of hues, from deep crimson to bright pink, like the color of the bougainvillea vines I mentioned earlier. Now, the cochineal is not the only red pigment that's been used to create brilliant shades of pink in Mexico. It's just perhaps the most well-known. In traditional Mexican textiles, you'll often see a whole spectrum of pinks used together. Each region of Mexico developed its own preferred shade, influenced by local tastes and available materials. For example, in Oaxaca, you might find a deeper, more purplish pink, while in Yucatan, the pink might lean more towards coral. Now, despite the fact that pink in Mexico has been iconic for centuries, it wasn't until fairly recently that Mexican pink, or Rosa Mexicano, was actually coined as a symbol of national identity. In 1949, fashion designer Ramón Valdiosera went to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York to unveil a fashion show, Bougainvillea, that would introduce the world to a new Mexico, a collection inspired by traditional Mexican clothing, but with a modern twist. How did he manage this feat? Well, before designing anything, this King of Roses embarked on a journey of research. A man after my own heart. And after traveling all over Mexico and learning from indigenous cultures by sketching their dress and customs, as well as ancient cultures by looking at how clothing appeared on artifacts like ceramics and murals, Valdiosera developed his star design, a stunning evening gown in what he called Rosa Mexicano, a vibrant pink inspired by the pinks that he saw in indigenous textiles all over the country. That particular pink captivated audiences immediately. When a journalist asked about the color pin, Valdiosera explained, "This color is a part of the Mexican culture." From there, the color's journey into the heart of Mexican culture only deepened. In homes past and present, this color is a main character in the family of features that define Mexican interior design, traditional and contemporary. In fact, modern Mexican interiors often blend traditional elements with newer aesthetics. The dynamic of old and new plays out in spaces bright and bold and totally infused with cultural richness. In all the color trends in interior design over the years, especially all the pinks, it's obvious that perceptions of the color have evolved significantly. Historically, it's been confined to specific gender roles, but lately, pink has transcended these boundaries to become a versatile and sophisticated choice in modern interior design everywhere. Today, all kinds of pinks are celebrated for their ability to provide a warm and inviting atmosphere while maintaining a touch of elegance and pop. Whether it's Rosa Mexicano, Millennial, or Barbie pink, or the popular shades of dusty rose and mauve I'm seeing everywhere these days, it's obvious that if pink is anything, it's timeless. Mexico's cultural tradition of pink has a lot to teach us about our own spaces. Not just about embracing pink, which yes, we should definitely be doing, but about creating an emotional connection with color and harnessing it to create a sense of identity in our own approaches to interior design. Ask yourself this: where was your style born and how has it evolved with you? What countries and cultures and colors have culminated in your home? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. And of course, if you're inspired by Rosa Mexicano and want to embrace an iconic pink pop, here's a few of my favorite pink pieces on Wayfair. See you next time.